What's up, Mr. Rose? What's up, JR?
Hello, Wayne. Hello, Hutch. Hello, Rob.
Right.
So pleasure to be here and talk about one of my favorite topics, gold, silver, the economy. Imagine I'm in the hot seat. You guys can ask me anything you like. I've been doing this for a long, long time. Long listener of the show, and happy to be here.
Well, with that said, let's get him on the hot seat. Okay. Thing is this: with everything that's happening right now, reports are that we're getting ready to go into the meltdown. I was looking at some stuff. Just yesterday. They're talking about the housing market. They're talking about the economy and talking about this and that stuff. Why are you sounding the alarm right now? What is motivating you to sound this alarm with your company?
Yeah, well, I'd definitely say we're on high alert, right? And I don't want to be here, fear-mongering people. That's kind of not what we're about at all. But, we don't have a crystal ball, but we have a pretty good roadmap, Wayne. And when we look at what's happening in the economy right now, people are very focused on maybe our national debt. We're $34 trillion in debt and growing. We're actually paying every 90 days, we're paying $1 trillion on interest. So imagine you had a credit card and that interest is due $1 trillion every 90 days. That's more than our U.S. national defense budget that we're spending every single month, right? And then we look at things like BRIC nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, like banding together, creating their own currency, wanted to back it by gold. Where does that leave the US dollar? Saudi Arabia deal with the US, a 30-year deal just ended. They're now settling oil trades in other currencies besides the US dollar, which is going to weaken our currency over here. When we look at international conflict with what's happening in the Middle East, we look at Russia, Ukraine. I mean, gosh, there was like a Russian warship just off the coast of Cuba the other day, Russian submarines off the Gulf Coast in Florida. So really what we're looking at is really a year of turmoil. Right, a lot of economic uncertainty here domestically and internationally. And if I was a weather forecaster, I would say I'm predicting rain and thunderclouds. And if I was going to leave my house, I'd make sure I'd have that umbrella to stop me from getting drowned in whatever's outside. It's the same thing with your portfolios. You may be in the stock market, even though people think a big correction's on the way, but the market's been booming right now. But you want to make sure that you're prepared for those rainy days. And one of the best reasons to do that is to protect from the unknowns. And that's what an asset like gold and silver will provide for you, whether you want to put it into an IRA or 401k or just physically hold on to it yourself. You're protecting yourself from what we fear is going to happen next, right? It's a pivotal election year. So I think the current administration wants to kind of keep everything the status quo. But, people are worried about central bank digital currencies, more banks collapsing. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. And anytime there's uncertainty, you want to move to higher ground. And that higher ground is precious metals that you hold on to. That's what people are looking at doing right now.
Jonathan, thanks for coming on. I'd like to ask you, I fear that, everybody that's alive in the United States right now has their whole life, the United States dollar has been world reserve currency. So people sit there and we watch economic things happen throughout the years, and it always seems like the U.S. economy always ends up okay. And can you explain to the audience a little bit the phenomenon that is the U.S. dollar being the world reserve currency and what BRICS does to threaten that, and why that leaves us so much more vulnerable than if the dollar remained the reserve currency?
Yeah, absolutely. So the US dollar for many, many years, decades, has been the world reserve currency where they settled transactions in oils and other commodities because we were basically the benchmark, and the great strength of the mighty US dollar used to be backed by gold up until 1971 when Nixon took us off of the gold standard. Now, in doing so, we created free trade, and that's when they wheeled in all the printing presses, started pressing all the levers and spitting out all this money. fast forward today, we've been printing more money than we've been paying off and creating debt at the tune of $34 trillion. The meanwhile, when the Biden administration got in and they started talking about BRICS nations, and BRICS nations, gosh, I remember being in Singapore helping and consulting banks like HSBC and AIG in Southeast Asia, talking about gold back then, and BRICS was being formed. And BRICS was really an institution of countries coming together. Imagine NATO. Well, BRICS is just kind of a lot of these superpower nuclear countries, all rich countries, banding together to basically say, you know what, there's been a monopoly with the US dollar for many years. We want to move away from the US dollar eventually, and that eventually is today, and basically band together with our economies of scale and create a new currency and back it by gold and have a new world reserve currency. Where does the US dollar fit in with all of this, Hutch? It doesn't. That's the whole point, right? So the dollar's been left out in the cold. They've been knocking to let us in, and Biden's been asleep at the wheel on that one. And it's really going to hurt the value when you talk about currency wars and talking about a dollar being worth less and less. I remember as a child when I was 13 coming to America. I'm from London, England, and maybe one pound was worth like $3, and the money would go much further. Now today, the same issue with what's happening in the UK is also happening here in America, where dollars are becoming worth less and less and less. So you start traveling around the world and you're noticing that the dollar isn't worth what it used to be, or that, people's jobs, pay rises are not happening. Just ask the employees at Boeing as an example, right? People's paychecks aren't going up, but everything of cost of living is gasoline, food, people having to not retire but take out second or third jobs. So there's a big pinch, there's a big squeeze, there's a big reset that's happening in the really capitalization of the US dollar, and it doesn't look good, guys. And you want to kind of be prepared and understand what you can do to combat inflation, combat currency devaluations. And one of the best answers, I'm going to hold this up on the screen. This is pretty cool. This is a kilo of gold. And people will hold on to this or put it into an IRA. It's pretty heavy. I'm just used to holding it. But something like this is, here, Wayne, if you can take it, you can have it.
I'm trying, John.
I was going to say, some of us aren't as big money and we just have the ounce of silver.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you bring silver up. So let me tell you something. People put these in the IRA. Is that a lollipop, Hutch? Was that
a Tootsie Pop?
That's a fair trade. That is a fair trade. I take it. So, people put these in IRAs, but I often have people ask me, if I take possession of this, we've heard this many years now, I don't have a hacksaw in my back pocket. I can't cut it up into 5 little pieces. I want something spendable, tradable, barterable, portable. And that's why we came up. I'm going to show you this really cool, unique product that just came out. This is called the Prepper Bar. And it's got a little sheen on here. I'll see if I can get the right angle. It's the only Prepper Bar, divisible fractional, made in America, made in Nevada, actually, minted in Nevada, where it's very solid. So it doesn't break, but you see these perforated lines? If I wanted to, I could snap these off. And there's 3 different denomination sizes on here. And really, I call this wealth in your wallet. I have a wallet. I keep it with me if I need it. Cash isn't working, credit cards aren't working. You want to barter, you want to trade. You can hold on to an asset like this. And I know I can see a link down below, prepperbarnow.com if you're viewers want to go and check these out. They're exclusive. There's going to be some silver shortages happening next year, which is going to spike prices. So these are great to hold on to, put into an IRA or 401k, break it, trade it, use it or not, right? And the beautiful thing about these and gold is that it's liquid. If you come into a pinch and you want to turn it back into cash, that's one of the things I've always loved about gold is its liquidity value. And just to let you know, guys, I've been in the gold market, for nearly 30 years. I worked for Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley. I worked on the London Metal Exchange. I've consulted for some major US banks here domestically and overseas. And what I'm seeing right now is we are in uncharted waters. So, if you listen to these top economists, they're they're raising the flag, they're ringing the alarm bells about what's to happen next. And that's why I say about being proactive and not reactive, and get an education and find out like how you can put things like this. If you go to prepperbarnow.com, find out how you can put these in your IRAs. They come in gold as well. But the important thing is getting an understanding of why top economists are saying to prepare for an economic tsunami that's heading our way. And again, people that do this, it's not like real estate, which is also a great commodity to hold on to, but you try to sell real estate, it takes time to sell a house or a property. With gold or silver, it's extremely liquid and you can convert it back into cash at any time.
Jonathan, you bring up an interesting point. And I remember when I was talking to Hutch, because I like investing in gold because, it doesn't go up as much. But Hutch always talks about like what happens if you ever get in a spot where you need to use it, it's going to be hard to redeem gold. That's why I started collecting a little more silver, because I'm like, I can swap a $30 silver coin for goods and services if things get kind of wild. But one of the questions that often comes up too for our audience is, we don't have millionaires or billionaires that turn into this show. And we have a lot of working class, blue collar Americans. Can you guys help like the average guy who just doesn't have, $200,000 to invest? Yeah. Can you help them kind of build some portfolio and build some value?
That's a great question. Silver, I've always been a gold bug, but the past couple of years I've kind of flipped into silver. And I'm glad you're purchasing silver now, because silver is extremely undervalued. And I'd say it's more affordable. You talk about bartering and trade. We say in our industry that silver will buy you the bread and gold will buy you the bakery. Right. And people that feel like they may have missed the boat or gold's too expensive, it's a kind of another reason why we came up with a product like this, because the price point, the entry to get into silver is obviously less expensive and more affordable. So people that are looking to try and get on the precious metals ladder, they can do so by, maybe investing in silver first, or, a lot of times people do have IRAs and 401ks, and because they've been working their whole lives, they're obviously a higher balance amount in there. And when it comes to IRAs, I tell you what, guys, and I tell this to people all the time, that's a big decision. Rolling over your IRA is a big decision in life, and it shouldn't just be, first phone call, you're with someone and they've got you rolling over your life savings that you've worked your entire life for. Meeting your life partner, big decision. Buying your first house, big decision. Protecting an IRA or 401k, big decision. And you should really do your homework. Make sure you're working with a reputable company. Obviously, I'm a bit biased because I think we're the best in the industry at what we do, because people need to understand, when they're looking to purchase gold, one red flag I say people forget to do is they think about, they're so caught up in the excitement on, I want it in gold, out of paper, into metals. But what happens when you sell? You want to make sure you're working with a firm that is going to be able to get you out of the gold, liquidated in a very strong and timely fashion, and work with people that make you feel comfortable. If people are trying to, push you into doing something, then, you should run a mile. I see lots of companies out there offering $10,000 in free silver. I won't mention any names, otherwise I'll receive a cease and desist letter tomorrow. But, nothing's for free. And all they're doing is they're charging double the price of what we charge for a piece of metal, because you're paying for that free silver. So, I would recommend don't buy these little gimmicky marketing things that people see out there. Make sure you're working with a BBB, A-rated, credible firm, and that you have knowledgeable people speaking to you, because this is your life retirement savings. You want to feel good that you're working with people that are highly educated and they're there to listen to you and not rush you into doing something. And for people that maybe don't have these IRAs and they just want to start small, then a product like a prepper bar is great, just to kind of start off collecting them, stacking them, putting them away. And there's many people, J-Rob, that do that.
Cool.
When it comes to your website, what should the average, what should our audience expect when they go there, and what type of support do you give? Like if somebody is confused and someone wants to call up, what will they expect when they? Well, I know it's a whole lot of questions, but what average type of response?
No, that's a good question. People can call us at 800-200-GOLD. That's 800-200-4653. We've got very knowledgeable metal specialists in there. And we have an e-guide. In fact, I know if they go to, as well, I can see it on the screen, treasureandtrust.com, they can get our e-guide because it will have, especially for first timers, pictures of silver and gold coins and bars. People often ask us, which coins and bars will be better for the future. Kind of understanding what people's needs are. Everyone's a little bit different. Is this a short-term hold, a mid to long-term hold? Are they looking at getting out of annuities or cashing out a CD or protecting a 401k that they inherited from a previous employer? So there's many questions out there, but I think the first thing is to kind of slow everything down for the person so they're not overwhelmed, and kind of listening to what their concerns are. Are they concerned with a market correction, a dollar devaluation, central bank digital currencies, because we're heading in that direction, unfortunately, and kind of understanding what their needs are and then making some recommendations to people. We always kind of say we're kind of like the navigator, but they're still the captain. So, they're in charge all the time, but we're just here to kind of help support them and kind of guide them into what they want to do. We'll never say to people, you need to buy this coin or that coin. We'll present to them different options. They can pick what they want. And we can go over the pros and cons on any different scenario and just kind of be there to support them with their purchasing needs, and also when they come to sell, because people buy, but they also sell. And the selling part, I think people forget about too often. And you want to make sure you're working with a reputable company that could help liquidate this IRA or turn this gold and silver you have at home back into cash immediately.
Well, again, your website is treasureandtrust.com, and Prepper Bar. Put that perforated.
You want me to hold that up again?
That
the
is
prepperbarnow.com. Yeah, like I said, 3 different sizes. It's the only bar of its kind that's minted in America. I just think it's really the coolest thing. I've been in this industry for a long time. Anytime something becomes innovative, it always has my seal of approval. So it comes in gold, it comes in silver. They can go to prepperbarnow.com. And I just think it's great, whether you want to give it to someone as a present or whether you just want to start slowly purchasing gold or even silver, or even if you wanted to put it into an IRA. It's a IRS approved metal, along with many other metals such as gold kilo bars. But it's always good to have options, and more options are better than less options. So we're here to help.
Well, we want to have you back on the show, but I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on the show. If you have any last words for our audience, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, you know what? We have a saying in the gold industry that you don't wait to buy gold, you buy gold and wait, right? And this is so true today. And I would just basically recommend get an education. That's the first start. Don't be like an ostrich with your head in the sand and think, well, if I don't do anything, nothing can happen to me. There's a big reset that's coming. And I think being proactive and not reactive is the key. So again, they can go to treasureandtrust.com to get our definitive gold guide. And if they want to know more about these prepper bars, they can go to prepperbarnow.com. So I appreciate you guys being able to share this with you and your audience.
JR, thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you're doing and the information, and breaking it down in a way that anybody can understand. That goes a long way. So thank you so much. And
thank you guys.
I take one of those gold. No. I take that too, but
I'm locking this one up.
That's the one right
Okay.
Thank you again, man. Thank you.
Mike Lindell here, and like you, I see our country being destroyed daily. We face massive economic issues, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are people in power who threaten the values that have made our country great. Well, I've been a believer in gold and silver for a long time, and I've searched for years for a partner that shares my values. Well, Genesis Gold Group showed me how easy it is to protect your IRA, 401k, or your retirement with gold and silver. Their faith-driven approach to service and stewardship is one that stands out from the rest.
To get your free definitive gold guide and get started learning more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times, visit treasureandtrust.com now. Fill out the basic contact form and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, that's treasureandtrust.com or call 855-625-7760.